Hello, hello. Ursula's not letting me put the video on. She's like, our house is stinky. Don't show them.
Let them know our house is stinky.
Let me just tilt your camera. Whoa. We're moving one frame a second here. Oh. Is that for you? No. Okay, it's just in the preview window. Okay. We can handle a crunchy preview window. Hello, how's it going? I'm gonna pop out chat. I don't know how to do it anymore. Oh, there we go. Oh, there we go. Wait, what was that? Reactions. You can turn reactions off, but I don't want to turn reactions off. I just want to hide them. I just want to hide the thingy. I want you guys to be able to react. You know? You get me? Hi, Cypress. Hello, hello. Hello. It is the critique stream wherein we critique patrons just everything about them. But no, we do the critique stream every month where what do we do? What do we do?
We critique comics.
Yes, we critique comics submitted by patrons. I haven't done it yet, but I'm going to be switching the Patreon over to a different payment schedule thingy. It shouldn't affect people who are already doing it, but basically it's the thing where you get charged the same time every month from when you start, rather than having to worry about getting charged at the end of the month kind of thing. So yeah, I'm gonna do that. So I haven't done it yet, but once I do, regardless of when you sign up for Critique Stream, you should get access to whichever stream is in the month that you subscribe to. So you shouldn't miss it and have to plan things around it. So here's hoping. I'll do that. I have to do that because I'm doing like a bunch of other stuff with the Patreon right now. See, right now I am getting music blasted in my ears and you guys are not getting that, so we're gonna fix this. There we go. Yeah, I'm mostly putting up a bunch of comics on there. Yeah, so I got two of you here. I'm gonna start with Cypress, because I saw Cypress first. And, you know, sometimes we zig, sometimes we zag. So, yeah, are you ready, kids? Aye, Captain. I'm the captain. Don't make faces like that, Ursula. Don't do it. Stop it. Yeah, you ready? Okay, I should pop out your story, so I actually, I always forget to do this. Ursula is so organized, and then I show up and deorganize everything of hers. Oh, I just downloaded one. Okay, cool. Yes. Okay. So you gave me chapter 2, which is exciting. I always like moving forward. As usual, I'm at work and I shall try and respond. Yeah, I figured as much, but good to confirm it. So what did I like? I as I said, I do like moving forward. Moving forward, very good. Big fan of going forward. Um, okay, there was a line break there. When I was reading it on my little like what is it? Text to speech thingy, there wasn't a line break between the two sections, but I figured there was. So it's good to confirm that. I think that you did a good job with more variation in sentence structure, because I think I talked to you about that, because yeah, it would have been you because you're the only one who's sending in prose. Yeah, so I like that. I liked that um there was like a progression of things happening that formed a scene. Wow. Um yeah, like I think there's like a solid structure for a scene here that kind of builds from one point to the next, which is good. I'm getting warmed up, I think. Well, that's good. Um I really liked the last scene. I liked the descriptions, especially at the very beginning. I think you got really into your character's head, and there was a lot more connection with like the sensations that the POV character was going through. Also, obviously, intriguing. Some what is it? It's not that it's easy to grasp, I guess, as a concept, because obviously there's a whole bunch of like mystery and stuff, but like I think it's kind of easy to follow the emotions and what Aurelia is going through here. And for such a short scene, you really bring us up to speed really fast, despite it being in what is it, in media res, in the middle of action, which is good. Yeah, I think there was like throughout there were some good descriptions. As for like improvements, I think that there still is like a lot of like unpacking that needs to happen. Like I found it easier to follow what was happening. Like I was saying, there's like a good progression through like the larger middle scene. And it was easy to, what is it? There was like things set up and they all culminated in something. Um like we were setting up all the pieces for this kind of festival celebration thingy, ritual, whatever, and then we actually got to see it come to fruition. So that was good, and that's like a very point A to point B, easy to follow, and I like that more about this chapter than what I've read before. But it's still it's I guess it's like it moves very quickly through a lot of ideas, instead of like having kind of a central core to like what you're focusing on. There's like a whole bunch of little details about what's happening with this festival, and there's not like one major focus, and there's not really a strong kind of emotional through line that you can follow of like what she's going through mentally about it, like what sticks out to her. It's like she reacts to various things that are occurring, and then they kind of are like disconnected from one another. It's not really building a good picture of like what her thoughts on things are. And I think that a lot of that is coming from things being very summarized. A lot of times it reads like an outline, especially like in this middle section. It reads like points on an outline. They're less tedious because there's like the variation in how the sentence structure is going now, but it still is very pulled away. This describing like this is what is happening, but not really putting yourself with the character experiencing it during the ceremony or the final scene. I'm talking about Felicite. I think. Yeah, I'm talking about the Felicite scene. We're very pulled out from her. I think the Aurelia scene is really good in that you're a lot more close with like what Aurelia's going through, whereas like Felicite, you're very pulled away from her. There's just like so much occurring, because if you kind of compare the scenes, when we're looking at the Aurelia scene, we don't have a lot of information about what is happening, and that's really fine. Like, we don't have everything explained to us. You really are in her, you physically feel like you're in her head. Like, you can see what she's seeing and you can feel what she's feeling, and it comes through emotionally as well. Whereas Felicite, you're very pulled away, and we get a lot more details about the world building and the world around her, rather than like experiencing the world through her, is kind of what I would say. Cause yeah, like, you're very capable, like in the second scene, of putting yourself into the character and telling the story through their experience. Like, it is something that you are able to do, and you just need to move into that even in the more big scenes. Yeah, you totally get what you mean. Yeah, so that would be like the main thing, like, I would work on going forward. Like, I think it's like with the sentence structure thing, like, these are just very fundamental to be able to really start getting into like the what is it, like, to really start thinking about like where to like work on plot and like pace or whatever. Like you sort of need to have those components solid, like not perfect, but like a good enough grasp on them so that you can feel the scene before I can really give a lot of ideas on that. Also, I'm like 2 chapters in, and I never have anything really huge to say plot wise 2 chapters in, because it's like I don't know. This is the first novel I've written, so all your advice is greatly appreciated. No problem. You're doing a good job. It's hard. Novels are freaking hard. Short stories are hard. Writing is hard. Because like when you're writing a comic, you basically get to say, I'll do it good later. Like that's a comic script. Right? Novels, you have to like do it good now. Right? Because this is all that it's going to be. Whereas you write a comic script and you're like, okay, like you get the vibe, right? Like this is what they say, and here's kind of what happens, and I promise I'll draw it good. Very different experiences. But I think it's why like working on things like prose and novels really help, because you have to really level up as a writer to do those kind of things, and I think it does come through in other writing. With a comic, I didn't have to explain each panel, I just showed it. Yeah, exactly. It's a whole other set of skills to like actually like, you know, draw the panels and stuff, but like you get to spread out a bit, I guess. Yeah. All right. That is all. I will now move on to AZ because AZ is here. AZ. I'll never stop making this stupid joke. Okay. Let me see. Let me open it up. Woohoo. Yeah, exactly. It's good. I liked it. I like how the plot is all coming together. There's like a lot of like pieces that in previous drafts like they felt a little more sudden. I think because you have been working with developing like Jay and Des, like I think coming to the point near the end of like what you've written is really good. It doesn't feel as out of nowhere, and it doesn't feel as confusing to me, I think. What else? I like how it's all like coming together, how like the different like plot lines are kind of coalescing. Yeah, that's the word. Where we have like the issue with the farm and like the stuff with Cappy, and then the maps, and like it's all coming together nicely. You can see how like they like interconnect in a good way. I'm feeling Jay a lot more in this draft, and I'm excited to flesh him out even more in draft 3. Yeah, I can see it. It's really coming together, and I like it. And all of like the different what is it? Like all just all the different conflicts really make a lot of sense, which is good. I think the one thing that did kind of stick out to me was in the last scene where he does like end up like accepting the money. Well, not so much the money. Like I get accepting the money to go and see things, and I get the pressure that Gunter can put on him. Oh my goodness, this is so loud in my ears. One sec. Can't hear my brain. Yeah, I get the pressure that Gunter can put on him. Like I get the sense of like what kind of character he is and what kind of like, I guess kind of like abusive like power he has. However, I don't feel. Oh my god, I'm trying not to sneeze. Sneeze. Come on. Maybe I just should sneeze. I don't know. Noses are the worst things. Ugh, so dry because of all the AC and the fans and stuff. Ugh, the worst. All right. Okay. So back to the Gunter scene. I'm definitely discovering Gunter as I go. It really worked hard to make the plot lines intersect. Like, yeah. So like in the Gunter scene, I think that it feels a little odd for Jay to kind of like immediately kind of like accept this offer. Like I feel like there needs to be a bit more pressure before that happens. And I think it's because there's like such a contrast between the scenes where it feels a little disconnected because he's talking with Gil and they're coming up with kind of like ideas when it comes to money and whatnot. And then obviously Dez is trying to like work on himself, right? So it feels a little odd that he immediately goes along with this idea. Because it feels like there just needs to be like a little pressure before for him to like consider it and then kind of go with it, maybe, or something like that. Yeah, I plan on moving the scene a lot sooner in the beginning of draft 3. So I'm going to consider more how to develop and give things more time to bake. Yeah, I read that and I was like thinking about that too cuz like I don't mind Gunter showing up later, honestly. Um but yeah, if it shows up earlier, like it's gonna be completely different. But if he does show up later, like I don't find it comes out of nowhere as much because there's been obviously the stuff with Jay that sort of alludes to it. And just like the hints at Dez's past and stuff definitely allude to some nefarious stuff. YouTube. It obviously alludes to that sort of thing. But yeah, in the current draft, it does feel just a bit odd to go from like, yeah, Gil, this is a great idea to like, okay, Gunter, I'll do it, you know? But I can also see like there being easy pressure. Like especially if the Gil thing doesn't work out, which I don't imagine it's going to. I imagine there's going to be a lot of failure on that part and development. Yeah. But otherwise, yeah, it's all really coming together. It all like connects well, and like even if it's not fully connecting, like I can see easily how you could thread these things together, especially like in the third draft. Um yeah, and I yeah, the Cappy stuff came very suddenly in this draft, but I do like where it is headed too. I want to balance that with Dez also being a person who makes rash decisions on the fly that needs to be developed too. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I can feel that with him. I think it's just like I've really like focusing on the plot lines are coming together mostly. Yeah, yeah, it shows. Like I think it's all coming together really well. Yeah. Anything else before I move on? You gotta catch me real fast. I'll keep that in mind. Thanks for the notes. No problem. I'm Newman then. I'm on my way. Zoop. Zippity zippity zoop. Wait, oh shoot. Heck darn. Don't download it again. You obviously downloaded it already. Just open it. You opened it. Good boy. Good boy, Bones. I did it. Okay, so N. You sent me in chapter 1 again, an edited version of it. I'll try and remember. It's been a month, and I read a lot of things. I think it moved was it faster? I know you kind of moved right into them being a squad and having kind of like an ice monster prologue that sets it up, which I think is very cool. I like the 3 years in the future introduction. I think that's a good place to start. And there's a little less of the as you know kind of dialogue, which is good. Um and yeah, so they all sorry, I'm just looking over having my thoughts. Yeah, I do think you tightened it up. It's gonna be hard for me to kind of like say what to do here with like chapter 1 because like I like I was saying with like Cypress previously is like it's always hard for me to like give kind of plot ideas and opinions when I'm like at chapter 1, chapter 2 because like I really don't know the story. So like if you were setting up a completely different story to what it turns out to be, like I don't know that at this point. Like I don't know how everything aligns. Um that's why it's always like a bad idea to just sit reworking chapter 1 over and over again. Um Generally speaking, like I don't mind seeing it like a second time. Um I just mean generally, like it can be a pitfall people fall into is working on the first bit over and over and like yeah, getting lost in that. But with that said, like I'm not sure where the story starts entirely, but I get the feeling that like I don't feel like the beginning of the story's really been like pinpointed at this point. I don't know how to explain this, but like there's a lot happening Um, there's a lot happening, and it's moved through quickly. Them all meeting each other. I think I said this before. Sorry. But all of them like meeting and forming the squad, like it all comes on very quickly, but I don't think you should sit there slowly introducing it per se. Like I don't know if that would serve this kind of story well. But I don't think that where things are starting now, I don't think they really are hitting me as like a good place to start the story. It just, I don't know. I could be wrong because like I don't know, but it just feels like with a squad that fights monsters, I think finding like the beginning is going to be a place that has a little more not, I guess, action and like meat to it is going to be important. I don't know where like a starting point would be, but I just don't feel like um I don't think it's been like fully pinpointed yet. It feels like a lot of backstory. It feels like we're starting with a lot of backstory rather than starting into what this story actually is. And I guess I can kind of I guess I get that feeling because we very quickly move um down kind of like the checklist of like how they form the team, how they get together. They like go to a place, they all meet up, they get their first mission, they're on their way to their first mission, they show up there. And I think a lot of that stuff doesn't need full scenes to it because I don't know what having them as I don't know what that's giving us that we can't um learn while already into action or already into this first mission, and then kind of like um looking back at those points later. um I, what is it like, I guess like when you have like kind of superhero origin stories or whatever, I'm not saying these are like superheroes or whatever, but like when you have that, it's usually because it's something kind of like um interesting, like something really big and interesting and integral, and you wouldn't linger on it. But the introduction to them as a squad is them kind of all meeting in a room. You know, it's not. I think my brain is on origin stories just because it's called Origins, but like, um, yeah, chapter one origin. Like I think when I think about origin stories, like I think about like Batman, you know, parents dying, or like Superman planet exploding. Like those are kind of like interesting places to start. But like signing up as soldiers and all meeting in a room is not a a great starting point. Like it's fine if that's where they start, but I don't know if it's like a good hook for your story. Um and like I wouldn't focus too hard on like finding it. Like if you want to like submit more chapters and like continue onward. Like I think the only way to kind of find where a good starting point is to just continue forward. Um like the kind of like issue like I'm describing here is like incredibly normal to have when writing a story. Most of the time, you aren't going to pick a good beginning spot. Like I did like one-on-ones. I do some one-on-ones, and I have it took forever to find the beginning of the story with that, and I have trouble finding the beginnings of my stories a lot of the time. Um, but yeah, I just don't think it's there yet. Um, I I would like to just see like the continuation of like what they're doing now. I want to see what happens with the jellyfish temple and the chimera and stuff. Like that stuff's really cool. So like I want to see that, and I want to see where that goes. And I think if you continue through that, I think you'll be able to find out like where a good beginning point is, because I just don't think this is quite it. Um yeah, like I don't think, because like you don't need to introduce everything one at a time, very like pulling out your pieces out of the box like one at a time. Like here's one character, here's the other, let's bring them all together. Like when we talk about introducing elements one at a time, um it's it's about like where you put your focus, and you have to um like if you bring out a character and you're introducing them, you need to like introduce them as a person and really like get some sort of like grasp on them and like what their deal is, and then you move on to the next one and in the next scene, but you're also like weaving it all together, and it's very complicated and difficult. um yes. Yeah, like I said last time, like if you have any questions, like you can send them to me or leave them in the critique um chat thing, and I can expand a little bit. But yeah, I just want to see where things go, because I think I'll have a lot more to say for sure. But you're doing a good job, and you just gotta keep going at it. And even if stuff does end up being like cut or whatever, like it's never like not worth the time to write stuff that gets cut, I guess. Ursula, you can have the stream now, it's yours. Oh, it's a dog.
Hello? Pizza. Victor? Hello? Hoi. How we all doing? My goodness. This camera's so low down. headphones, you butthead. Okay.
Too hot. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I know, he moves all my stuff. The jerk. Hello.
Slumping boy.
How dare. Okay. Ugh. Bah. Hello. Hello, hello. Who would like to go first? Oh my god, my hair is terrible. You shush. Who would like to go first? We have, let's see. BlanketGremlin is here. Kuroe is here. Which one of you wants to go first? We also have submissions from Tori and BattleBox. How's everyone doing? Hope you're doing good. Happy Saturday. Happy critique stream. No one wants to go.
I have an audience.
Bones is on the couch eating pizza. It's off screen, but and all the dogs are surrounding him. I don't mind going first. Oh, I don't mind the others going first. Well, you get to go first because you spoke. This is your curse. This is your curse now. And then Kuroe can go next, and then if the others are here, then we can figure it out, you know? Okay. Now, my friend, what did you write? What were your notes? Oh, I should have brought my glasses. My eyes are not focusing today. Okay. Okay, so another character's profile from Attraction. General critique and thoughts about the character. Okay, I'll do the vibe check first. My YouTube chat keeps disappearing? I can go whenever? Okay. Oh, Kuroe, that sucks. I hope your YouTube chat stops acting up. Okay, vibe check. This little fella, he feels like, okay, he feels like the class president. He's like really serious and, let's just say he's a stick in the mud. That's the vibe I get. He's just like very by the book, a grumpy, kind of superior, arrogant a little bit. That's the vibe I get. He's judging you. What? What? She's so cute. We have you can't see it on screen, but there's a whiteboard set up over there, and we have it like propped against a shelf. And Miku's like on top of the shelf, like made a little cubby behind it. It's so cute. Our kitty cat Miku. So adorable. A bullseye. Okay. Is it Ilvin? Ylvin? Okay. A cadet with great potential in the authorities. Yet he's denied a proper position. Oh, interesting. Okay. Okay. So he's working for like a is he like military? Cuz he has a guard uniform. He's joining an agency. And he's a cadet. Da, 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 da. Public authority. Or is he more like a police officer kind of thing? Oh, okay. Orders we uphold. The official crest of public law enforcement. Okay. Ooh, cool. Okay. So it looks like he's part of like it's his childhood dream. Oh, okay. So he wants to be like a police officer kind of thing. And it sounds like it's military connected in this setting. And then there's like a mysterious organization that's the subject of government conspiracies. That's fun. Okay. Right. So he's trying really hard to get into this the law enforcement organization. He keeps getting denied. Does he have like a superiority complex because of it? Okay. Introduced as a security guard, he was poached by the agency only if they can branch out to police work. On condition he didn't expect them to actually meet, ending up as the agency's own private investigator and acting as backup. Okay. He's meant to be the serious character in a buddy cop plot genre. Okay. Right, because there's lots of like magical characters, and then he's gonna be like a very normal kind of like straight man type character. Okay. He's an important character used to explore and build on the story's existing setting from scenes and elements involving or centering around him. Okay, cool. Hey, BattleBox. An superiority complex to be exact. Yeah, definitely. Okay, okay, I get you. How dare you be late? That's okay. Okay, so right. So his hair is grown out from a depressive period. Okay. Right. I definitely get that vibe that he's like a more kind of serious character. Maybe kind of grumpy to be around. And yeah, I think he would play well with your other characters who can be a bit more like absurd, like you said. I'm curious about the hair thing. That's an interesting character quirk, because if he's very straight-laced, it's interesting that he hasn't cut his hair, and it makes me wonder, like, has he not cut it because he's like still depressed? Or has he not cut it because he doesn't have the money to cut it? Whereas like it feels like according to his character, he'd keep like a very neat appearance and probably cut his hair down. But anyways, okay, so as for his design, I like how there's like a bit of a reddish, I guess it's like reddy orange to his hair and eyes. It stands out well against the blue of his uniform. And it works well too with like the darker academy clothing too. I feel like it's hard because color-wise, you see like a little bit of the orange on like the buttons of his shirt. But I'm wondering if you can bring kind of the brown color through the rest of the design a bit, maybe with like a belt or in the shoes maybe. It just feels like the top half of his character feels very like cohesive color-wise, but the bottom, I mean, the blue works with the shirt, but yeah, it's just missing that brown element. Because I noticed on the Academy, he's got like the little badge or insignia and then like a belt. So even just something small like that, I think would bring it together quite a bit, color-wise. He's waiting until he became an officer. Oh, okay. I see. So he's waiting to cut it. Okay, that's a cool character thing. Or once he achieves his dream, he'll cut his hair. Cute. I think just the shaggy hairstyle, it feels very like 80s, which also feels right for like the buddy cop thing. Yeah. Did you have any... I like your newer design sheet quite a bit. He looks like such a softie in this first one. Where he looks more like, I don't know, judgmental. I guess. He looks a bit more sharp, you know, in the new version. Yeah, did you have any questions about his design that you were wondering about or not sure about? I don't know where Bones went. He went outside. He just disappeared. He left. My co-host has left the building. He's just gone. Oh well. I thought, because we have bird feeders out front that Bones like will fill up with like peanuts and seeds and stuff for like the blue jays and sparrows and stuff that come by, but so I thought he was just popping out to fill the bird feeders, but he is gone. Bum, ba, dum, ba, dum. Oh no, I'm drawing a blank. I can check your message again just to make sure there wasn't any questions that I missed. General critique and thoughts about his character. Okay. I mean, if you have questions that you can think of later, you can always ask me in the Discord and I can answer them. Oh, there was something I was thinking. I was curious. Obviously you don't have to do this because, like, you know, you can submit whatever you want, but I'd be curious to see how all of these characters look in a lineup together to compare them, because I know when you first submitted, or early on when you joined, you showed like a lineup of some of the characters together. I'd love to see something like that just to see how all their designs compare to each other. Because, like, from what I've seen, admittedly, it's like a month in between every time I, like, take a good look at this stuff. But, yeah, like, everything feels very cohesive, and, like, it feels like it's all from the same story, but I'd be curious to see it all together. To see how it all jives together, you know? Because sometimes I find I'll make a bunch of characters, and, like, I'll put them all together, and then I'll be like, oh, I used, like, the same color for, like, half of these characters. And then I need to, like, you know, go and change some of their coloring or maybe some of their shapes or something because some characters are too similar. Or sometimes I'll make a character and it's like they don't feel like they're from the story. Their design's like way different. Though your story has like a lot of kind of like intersecting genres and vibes to it. So it makes sense that it's maybe like more hodgepodge than a different setting. But yeah, anyways, okay. I'll move on. Let me know if you have questions. Kuroe! Kuroe, my friend, what did you write? What did you say? 3 new character designs. They're from a VTuber comic. Oh my god, I love that. May I have a general critique and perceived personalities? Okay. Hello. Okay, we have Captain Zeri. The jellyfish pirate. I love that. That's so cute. Man, I love VTuber models. They're so cool. They always have such fun designs. Okay, anyways. Okay, right. I have to do the vibe check before I read through the profile. Okay, so these are VTubers. Are they all gamers? I'm gonna assume. That's what I associate VTubers with. Though I guess they can do any kind of like streaming content. But anyways. Right. So Zeri, she feels very... She has like the soft girl vibe. She's very gentle. Like there's some... Like she obviously has like... She's not like the super femme, like wearing a dress and frills and stuff. They're variety streamers, but mostly games. Okay. Cool, cool, cool. But yeah, but she's got soft girl energy, but also like, you know, she's more adventurous. That doesn't make sense. Your character model doesn't have to wear pants to be adventurous. But you know, she's maybe it's just the pirate top, but I just get lesbian energy, you know? You know, that is a lesbian fashion style to wear those like frilly dress shirts. Let's just be real here. But yeah, she's so cute. Yeah, she feels just very sweet and soft. I feel like she wouldn't have anything bad to say about people. I feel like she gets along with everyone. And has lots of friends in the space, you know? And I feel like she plays adventure games. Like I feel like she'd be out here with like a let's play of Zelda games, you know? More actiony games. That's the vibe I get. Okay. A storm pulled a jellyfish away from the rest of her jellyfish buddies. She was thrown against the side of a pirate ship. A pirate fell off and landed on her. The two were soon struck by lightning, and Zeri was born. Oh my god. Okay, I love the backstories that VTubers have for their characters. It's so cute. Crystal jellyfish. No idea what she's doing. British gamer. Okay. She's a Nintendo games girl. Yes. I get that vibe. You know, there's like... You know, like she doesn't have totally like cozy gamer vibes, but like, and I know not all Nintendo games are like cozy games, but they have a little bit of like a cozy side to them, and she has that. Okay, I like it. Okay, so shape and design wise, the colors are so good. I like how the majority of like the flashiness of her design is in like the jellyfish hair tentacle stuff and the top of the jellyfish. I want to call it a hat, but I guess it's like her head. Anyways. But yeah, but I like how it's got like this like shiny aspect to it. I love the gradient, the vibrant color of like the different blues. It stands out. It's very... It's like the fascinator of the ensemble, if that makes sense. And then the rest of her clothing, I like that it's very simple. Head, hair, hat, who knows? Exactly. I like how it's very simple colors to kind of let her jellyfish hair stand out. So it's like just white and basically black. Like it's a nice gray and black because you've got the kind of blue undertone coming through it. And then the shapes are all there. Like you have the echo of like the jellyfish shape in the sleeves. You have the echo of like the tentacles with like the frills. There's like a triangle kind of shape that goes through like her, you can see it like in her torso, her sleeves, her collar. You can see it in like her hip shape. And even though like the boot flare is like, you know, it's like if you looked at it, you'd be like, that's like a square rectangle shape, but it has the vibe of like triangle, which works. It's really nice. Right, and then we've got these little lightning bolt decals through like the belt and the armbands and the boots. It's really nice. I'd be curious the colors of the lightning bolts, because I get it, it's like a jellyfish like shocking you, right? The color matches the hair, which is awesome. But I'd be curious about, it's just missing from the top half of the design, because it's like awesome that it goes through like the belt and the boots and the arms. I'd love to see it like in her face area, like even if it was maybe like a choker necklace or like a clip in her hair or something. Oh right, she was struck by lightning. There's that too. Right, I literally read the backstory. But yeah, just that little shape motif, I'd love to see it kind of in her face kind of area of the design. Yeah, but otherwise her shapes are great, her colors are great. You get the vibe of the character really well. Did you have any questions on this one? I also love the little friends. I can see them like floating and bobbing like with her animations kind of thing. That's great. No problem. So we have Amaray. Okay. So he, him. Ribbon eel. Okay. The friends are her chat mascots. Cute. Okay. So we have our friend here. The vibes I get from him, he seems very energetic and cheeky. Like he'd be out here like making jokes with people and being like a little bit of like a shit disturber, you know? He feels like he's got that like, you know how like with some friend groups you can be very like antagonistic to each other, you can like make fun and you know, rib each other and stuff. I feel like he does that. He feels very cheeky. And then yeah, I don't know. I think it's just the crop top and like, what would you call those? These pants. I don't know. The pant, like the bell bottoms with like a fringe at the side. It's kind of cowboy-esque. I don't know. Listen, this is just a very gay outfit and I'm here for it. Annoying to put on. Yeah, exactly. Listen, it's a VTuber. The outfit doesn't have to be practical. But yeah, just very gay. Which we love. Okay. So, Amaray, fallen star, ribbon eel. A star knocked towards Earth by a meteor falls into the ocean. The weakened star is found by a friendly eel. When attempts to heal the star failed, the eel makes him a new body. Amori is born. Oh, that's cute. He, him, ribbon eel. Loves all that sparkles. Hell yeah. Okay, so it's like star motif with like an eel. Interesting. Okay, so design-wise... Okay, right, so you've got the yellow, we've got the black, the blue, and there's like a split kind of motif with like the yellow on one side, blue on one side, and then it's like swapped with the eyes. Interesting. I wonder, so I really like the split design. I think that's really cool. It creates like a lot of visual interest. I also like how you have some kind of yellow, because the sparkly clothing has a bit of a gradient in it. It feels very like night sky kind of thing. I like how you've got a little bit of yellow throughout. It's not, and a little bit of blue. It's not just black, which definitely helps bring the colors together. With the face, obviously there's the eyes, the earrings, and the clothing that has that like split motif. I'm curious if a little bit of the blue could be brought into the hair. Like, it doesn't necessarily have to be like half the hair is blue, half of it's yellow, but maybe just like either a decorative piece, like a hair clip, or maybe a streak of blue in the hair. I feel like that would go a long way to kind of bring the colors together. Yeah, because it's just, there's so much going on in the design, and then the hair feels like a little flat compared to the rest of it. So I'd love to see just like a little extra component. And then shape-wise, so obviously there's the star motif. And then the kind of ribbony motif. Where's a blue jellyfish hair clip? Hinting at his relationship with Zen. Or Zeri. Aw. That would be cute. I think that would work really well. Right. So yeah, I definitely feel the star design. I like the fringe on the, or I guess they're ties, on the side of the pants. Because they have the ribbon feel, but I think just like the jaggedness to like the silhouette kind of brings that kind of star feel, like just the points to it, which is interesting. I think the only thing that I'm not sure about would be like the sleeves, where like I like the color, I like that they're see-through and you can see like the arms and the ribbons underneath. I think that's really cool. And like it fits. Like having them flare out like that like does kind of fit that star vibe. Yeah, because if you had like cuffs at the end, I don't think it would fit. Make them more frilly? Yeah, possibly. Like, yeah, maybe some jagged points at the end, or maybe some ties, kind of like how you have them on the pants. Just like a little zhuzh. I think would help kind of fit things in really well. But otherwise, yeah, I think this comes together really well. Good contrast, good colors. Yeah, yeah. Did you have any questions about this one? Anything you were wondering? That's all awesome. I like this one. Prince of Trash Bads. Okay. You both got their personality spot on? Okay, awesome. Okay, so this guy gives me the vibe. You know that, Bats was the hardest design. I like his design. It's really cool. It's got a lot of interesting elements to it. Personality-wise, I feel like he'd be very sarcastic. And like, you know that like stereotype, that like anime archetype where they're like, they have like the very flat voice and they come off as like really cool. Like I get that vibe from him. Like that would be his persona. But yeah, I feel like he's got like a very dry sense of humor kind of thing. Okay. Octopus loner. Bats got fed up with all the fish annoying him, so he left in search of a new home. He finds a trash island and makes it his home. He finds some old gaming stuff and gets hooked. Prince of Trash Bats is born. Oh my god, I love him. Hammer Octopus Gamer loves tomato soup. Adorable. Okay, but I love the different elements. I love how there's like, it looks like a fishing net as like a cape. You got the soup cans as like arm braces. It's like a measuring tape and fishing line like around his waist, and like his clothing is a garbage bag, and he's got like a like one of those plastic shopping bags on his head. That's so cute. I love the different elements that like make up his design. But it has the oh, the ear swabs. Gotcha. That makes sense. I like it though because it like it's all pieces of garbage, which makes sense for his like backstory thing. But the silhouette feels like, it almost feels like samurai armor. Hello, the fruit demon. I can speak. I swear. But yeah, but just the silhouette is very much like samurai armor kind of stuff. It's so fun. But yeah, I really like this design. It's really cute. So color-wise, I think you've got some good contrast going on. There's, yeah, the color palette makes sense. You've got like these grays that are kind of like yellow toned. You've got the bright yellow, you've got the black, and then there's these little hits of like blue and red. Red from the soup can. It's kind of pulled into the netting. And then the blue spots for the ear swabs and the measuring tape. I think color-wise, I think it's awesome. It fits really well together. I like the colors you've chosen. The only thing is the red and the blue is very focused right here at the middle of the character. And I think, like, there's a little bit of red. Oh, even a little bit of blue in the eyes, too. But it's missing those pieces. So, like, I think, I'm not sure what you'd put in. Like, maybe you could bring some of these elements, like, up into the face and down near the feet. At least up in the face somehow. Like, I'd be curious if maybe you could do, like, it wouldn't have to be the same kind of, like, garbage items. Like, maybe you could have, like, I don't know, a candy wrapper stuck to the bag or something that maybe had, like, the red and the blue. I think there's a lot of really fun stuff you could do with it. Shape-wise, a lot of it makes sense. I like how The hair pieces have like the tentacle shape. Yeah, the design feels very round, and I think it's just from like the silhouette of like the netting and the head with the trash bag. Oh yeah, logo on the bag too. That could bring it in. Yeah, this just the silhouette of the character is really great. It really stands out. And I really love how the yellow stands out on the design too. It's incorporated really well into the different elements of the character. What was I thinking? Oh, shapes. Yeah, I think there's some really good echoes going on because you've got kind of like the tentacle shapes with like the literal tentacles. And then you also have, oh, pardon me. I want to call it a tomato shape because you kind of see it with the shape of the hair. And there's like the soup cans and the designs on them. I guess it's like these little circles that have some like little prickly points coming off them. But yeah, just lots of the elements are really brought together. You've got like the squares echoed in the netting and then the shape of the garbage bag suit. Yeah, it's just really well done. There's a lot of elements, but they're very cohesive. Yeah. I like Bads. I like him a lot. He's my prince of trash. I support him. I'd watch his stream. Cool. Did you have any questions? Or anything you were wondering about this one? I love him. I love them all. I like their ocean iconography. That's great. Awesome. Well, thank you. All right. We have Tori and BattleBox left. BattleBox, I saw you in the chat. So would you like to go next? You're okay. Let's see. Right. So yeah. So this is a follow-up from the last stream. So you had more sketches and then you've done more work on like the colors and inking and made some changes to the story. Right. Because I suggested to add some details last stream and elaborate on Ivana's relationship with the townsfolk. Okay. Yes. And you started lining and coloring. Awesome. Okay. So, yeah, I read through the changes that you made, and I thought you did a really great job with them. I liked the addition of when she finds, like, the vampire chewing on a guy. I liked the addition of, like, she knows that he's Mr. Rowe, and he's just a nice teacher, and he didn't deserve, like, being attacked and stuff. I thought that was a really nice addition. I liked the addition when she wakes up and sees like her parents' remains and we linger on it a little bit. I thought that was a really great addition. Trying to think. Was there other additions to the town stuff? I couldn't remember because I know she sees like the kids playing and stuff when she's like going into town, but I couldn't remember if like it had been updated. Oh, it's not loading for me. Okay. Oh well. But yeah. I really like the additions you made. I think they really just those two things. Okay. Well, I think it helped strengthen the other parts. But yeah. I really like the additions. I think they really strengthen like the emotional core of the story. I also really like this background that you did. I know there was a reference that you used, but it looks so nice. It's so well structured. And the characters in it are placed really well. And the little sister is so cute. Stop it. Stop it. You're gonna break my heart. But yeah, it's all coming together really nicely. Yeah, the color work is great. I like the house. It's really cute. It's a cute little house. I'm so excited to finish the story. I started giggling and kicking my feet when I'm drawing it. That's adorable. I'm so happy for you. That's a lovely feeling. Yeah, I really like the line work. You have a very nice mix of like using thicker lines and thinner lines for details. I love all the little folds in the clothing and stuff. Like it just adds so much like structure to all the drawings, and same with like the little details in the hair. Yeah. And the characters fit really well into the backgrounds. Yeah. Did you have any questions about the other bits? Oh, I also... Was there additions made to the end of the comic? Because I know... Because I liked the addition of, like, when she has, like, the little vision of her sister. Right, I forgot about that. I really liked the addition. Where it helps, again, with, like, the core... like, the heart of the story. I also really love this panel. It's really well done. Right, and she goes running and falls, and then she has, like, the little hand grip, like, yes, I will do this. Yeah, I thought that was a really cool addition, too, and very well paced. Great emotion. Yeah, it's really cool. But yeah, I think it's gonna come together really, really well. Yeah, did you have any questions about the other stuff that you added? Like stuff you wanted feedback on, like any of the line work or color or anything you were struggling with? I'd be happy to answer. Are the dogs being silly? Sabrina! Sabrina! Oh, hi, Medica. She did. Was she a good girl? Oh, a good puppy. We're our one dog, our husky Serena. She's a very nervous.
She's a friendly drama queen.
She's a friendly drama queen. She's a really sweet dog, but she's very scared of other dogs. And she makes a big fuss. She'll like bark. And flip and jump. She'll like jump into our arms when she sees dogs because she gets so scared. So we've been trying to... We're trying to improve her walking ability. Going on walks by going on small walks and keeping her away from like overstimulating things. Goodbye, Bones. So that's where Bones went when I was like, I've been abandoned. He went and took Serena for a walk. And now he's sleeping. He's sleeping again. Doop, doop, doop. The scene with Rose seemed a little strange to me, like it was rushed. I don't know if it added well to the others. I thought it was great, because I don't think you needed like a big to-do about it. Saying like, oh, he was such a good man and blah blah blah. Because all you need, because the point of that little scene is that the vampires are attacking. They can't go out in the sun. And that people in the village are being hurt. And she's like, I know this guy. He didn't deserve that. And then she has the realization like, oh no, what if they're at my house? Like, I don't think you needed to... I don't think it was rushed. I think it was just enough information to, like, bring that connection to Ivana and the town, and then bring it to the next beat of the story, if that makes sense. Because I think if you'd lingered on it more, like giving more backstory to the character or more interaction there, I think it would be too distracting in the story, if that makes sense. Because it's very... Oops. Bleed. I also appreciate you censoring the the gory details for YouTube. Yeah, because yeah, she sees him being attacked. And she has a little moment of like, oh no! I've found someone in a romantic rendezvous. And then she's like, oh wait, blood? Right. And she's like, what are you doing? And then he tries to attack her. She goes out into the sun and he can't follow. Yeah. And she's like, oh my god. The poor baby. And she's like, oh my god, go home. Yeah, so I think it works well. Maybe it's the paneling that's getting me. Perhaps instead of his own panels, it could be a vision on a panel with Ivana. Oh, that could work. Right, because you've got her... Can't touch sunlight. She sees the blood on the town. Yeah, you could. You could expand this panel right before her kind of determination sets in. And maybe having her look more thoughtful and having him, be that kind of like background imagination piece, vision panel above her. Or vision in the panel above her. Another thing you could do... Just spitballing ideas. I don't think one's better than the other. You could also do a panel where... You could do a panel of her looking into the alleyway. And you could see... Probably be like 3 panels. So you'd have her looking into the alleyway, maybe from behind. And in it you can see like the vampire looking out at her. And then the teacher's body like slumped against the wall. And then you could add in this panel of him looking smiling and happy. And then cut to her like reacting to it, I guess. So then because then you get the juxtaposition of like him hurt and who he was. And you get that kind of juxtaposition of like the happy town versus what's happened to them with this attack. Possibly. It might also be helpful to show the vampire again. Because I know it's like this vampire isn't like a major character in this story. Like the one that's at her house is like the big villain guy. But I think he does kind of just disappear when she goes out into the sun. And then we don't really look in the alleyway again. So maybe having just that little touch of like, that guy's still there, but he can't get me. That might help with just like, setting. I think that's what it is. Oh, maybe just that part of the setting is missing and then she runs off. So yeah, maybe bringing that in would help. Yeah, play around with it and see what you like. I think that's all for me. Thanks for the critique. No problem. This is looking great. Thank you for submitting. So now we have Tori. Is Tori here? I don't know if I've seen you. Okay, let's see. What did you say? I'd love to hear your thoughts on these D&D character illustrations. I'm just looking for general critique for how to improve the coloring, design, and painting technique and composition. I made these all in Procreate. I'm struggling with color and painting technique a lot more on the iPad than I do with Clip Studio or Photoshop on a PC. I think that the rendering comes out looking a lot more like colored pencil or pastel than like a digital painting. And I like how they turned out, but something feels off with the lighting. Interesting. This isn't necessarily part of the critique, but I'd be curious if you have opinions about iPads versus Wacom tablets. It is interesting, the difference between them. Because I had a Wacom that was like just like a tablet where you draw on it and you look at a screen in front of you. I used that when I was like learning to draw, and then I've used, I had a Huion, which was like a display tablet, and then since I've started using an iPad. The display tablets and the iPad are nice because you do get that kind of like, I find, it's hard to say because I kind of like switched over them with like the better I got at drawing. Like I didn't start with like a display tablet, but I find it's a bit easier to like put down lines correctly, or I found when I was using like a tablet where I'm looking at a separate screen and drawing on the tablet in front of me, I found I'd have to redo lines and stuff. Like I'd get into a flow of things, but I found like it was a little bit harder to get that kind of hand-eye connection, where a display tablet or an iPad is a lot smoother. I find it, with the difference between like an iPad versus a tablet, I think it's like the programs are just really different. Because I found that, because I've used Photoshop, I've used Clip Studio Paint, I used Painter Tool for a while, and I've used Procreate, and they all just have very different feel to them. Because like with Clip, I've found with Procreate, I don't know, I found Procreate and Paint Tool very similar in a way. I think it's because they have a bit, I found their, and I used like years ago, like probably like 8 or 9 years ago at this point. So like it's probably very different now. But yeah, but I found like the brushes you get are very like, I think you're right, where yeah, they tap into that like very, they've gotten really good at like mimicking traditional tools instead of feeling more like a digital painting with texture. Whereas like using Photoshop and using Clip Studio, I found it did have that more kind of digital feel, and I think it's just like the brushes you use. And obviously you can get brushes that feel more like traditional art mediums. But I find in Procreate especially, the default ones can be very, they can feel very much like traditional media. But they do have some brushes that feel very like digital art, if that makes sense. I do find using the Apple Pencil can be a bit weird. You can change the settings of it, but I find some brushes, depending on how you tip the pencil, because you have the ability, when you touch the tip of the pencil, you can get like a very thin line, a very exact line, and you can turn the pencil on its side and get kind of like a broader, fuzzier version of the pen, if that makes sense. Like kind of if you had like a graphite pencil and you turned it on its side and you did some kind of like some shading kind of thing. Like you get that from it. And I find sometimes it's wonky. Like I feel like sometimes the pencil just acts up and starts doing like the big kind of blobby version of it when I'm looking for like a more exact line. But I know you can turn that setting off and stuff on your brush settings, I think, in Procreate, but it has its ups and downs. Sometimes it's like overly sensitive. But that is kind of nice. And again, like I've used an iPad for probably like the last four or 5 years, so I haven't really kept up with using a display tablet and Clip Studio and stuff. So I find using the Apple Pencil, like the having that pressure differential is interesting, where I feel like you don't get that when you use like a display tablet, like a Huion or a Wacom. Or Wacom. I forget it's a Wacom. It's not Wacom. Yeah, where it's a very different experience, but they're both good, you know? Non-display tablets have less... Oh, non-display tablets have less actual drawing space and display tablets that use dual monitor. Yeah, totally. There is that, which is really nice. There's a portability factor with the type of tablet and an iPad. Yeah, totally. Because when I had the non-display tablet, it was small and it was easy to like pick it up and bring it with me places. But an iPad is like even easier. Whereas like when I had a big display, it was like it didn't leave my desk really. Or I had like a space where it was set up. So portability is very different. I do wish I have a smaller iPad. I didn't get like the Pro version, which can be pretty big. I've just like the regular one, whatever it's called. I don't know the different names. Where sometimes, because the iPad is portable, I can bring it pretty close to my face to see things. But I do, when I had my Huion, it was pretty big. And I do miss having all that space to really see things. Whereas the iPad, it gets pretty small. So depends on what you like. But anyways, I should get into the critique. I'm just rambling about tablets. Okay. Sorry, so you want a general critique on the coloring, design, painting technique, composition. And with Procreate, things are coming out like colored pencil or pastel. And you liked how they turned out, but something feels off about the lighting. Okay, so let's start with this one. Of your first character. Yeah, so oh my gosh. Yeah, so I understand what you mean about like the pastel or colored pencil. Like it's definitely got that, yeah, like pastel or graphite on paper kind of feel, because it's very textured. Yeah, I honestly really like the texture. It's really pretty. It adds a lot of depth to things. But I can understand, like, it is very different than, like, the kind of polished digital painting style. Yeah, you've got a lot of really great depth going on. I love the different, like, color and tonal shifts throughout, like, the different... just like in every area of the piece. It's very easy to see on the face where you've got like reflected light and shadows, different light sources where like you're getting the light from the eyes, you're getting the light from the sky, and I like the different shifts where we've got some purples and reds and oranges and yellows throughout. I also really love the rendering on like the leg here where you've got like the red light reflecting off like the cloth, and then you've got highlight that matches like the color of the clouds, and then you've got some like reds and purples from like the skin tone coming through. It's just really nice, and I think you've built up the highlights really well to create like a lot of structure in your work. You can see it really well on like these arms, on the legs, on the face. Yeah, I think you've just got like a really great understanding of like shape and volume, and the way you bring the color into it is really, really nice. So just in general, that's like definitely one of your strengths, and totally keep it up. It's really lovely. So yeah, so as for like the painting technique, I think you've got it down. Where like you've got such a great handle on like small detail work and structure and color. I think down at the bottom, things get a little flattened. I don't think that's a bad thing though for this composition, because it's very much, the focus is on the face, and a little bit through the body. Whereas like down at the bottom, like you don't want to bring the focus there. There's enough detail to like swing you back up compositionally, like back up to the focal point. But it is a little like in the shadow on like the cloth and the feet. Like the shape kind of gets lost. It gets a little flattened. But again, I don't think that's a bad thing. I think it keeps from drawing too much attention. I think the two cloth pieces that are trailing from the arms, I think they feel a little bit too flattened at the ends, where you've got some lovely like rendering with these highlights and the shadows and the folds and textures and stuff. And then the texture at the bottom here, it feels a little tacked on, and I think it's kind of taking away from this lovely rendering you have. And because these cloth pieces that are like flowing from the arm, they feel like they're coming forward quite a bit. And I feel like because they're forward and like towards the camera, I think they need to keep that detail to keep like the field of depth making sense in the piece. Yeah. The other thing I would say compositionally, so I think the pose of the character and the different elements you have work really well for the composition. There's lots of movement. It's very dynamic. It leads you around the composition really well. I think, though, you need a little more space kind of in the top right, because the focus is on her face. She's got like the light coming from her eyes. She's crying. And I like that there's lots of space for like the body of the character, because there's so much movement with like the cloth and the posing. But I think there just needs to be like a little bit more space up at the top to kind of let the face breathe and really get like a good feel for this like light that's coming from her eyes, because it feels so important to the piece, but it feels kind of cut off a bit abruptly at the top. So maybe adding a little bit more space up there would help. You'd have to play around, like it might feel like it's too much. You might have to like crop things differently, but I think it would really help with the composition to have a bit more breathing room up top, to really let the face kind of shine. No pun intended. I also think, small nitpick, I think there's some places where you need to do some darkening. Because right here underneath her elbow on the left side is very, very dark, which is fine. But the only places that match is like under her jaw and on her hair here. And then some of the shadow work on her hips. And it really pulls attention because it's so dark. Where I think maybe you need to lighten it up, probably under her elbow, because that's not like a huge focal point for the piece. And maybe bring in some more kind of darker shadows kind of surrounding her face. to, again, keep the focal point there. That's just something to note, but it's really minor. Right, and you said you were having trouble with the lighting. I think I need... what seems off? What is off? I don't think there's much off to the lighting. Again, like, you have a very good sense for light and shape. It might be the contrast stuff I'm talking about, where you've got these very, like, dark patches in places that maybe need to be lightened up. But otherwise, lighting, it seems to work pretty well. The only thing you could maybe add is, like, adding some highlights and depth kind of, like, to the lower part of her body. But that might steal attention away, so that is hard. That's a hard decision. Yeah, I'm not sure. I think it might be a contrast thing, because I'm squinting my eyes to kind of get a look at just, like, the different values, where, like, it's very light up by her face and then very dark through the body, which I think is just a result of using the red. Red is a very dark color. You have these very, like, dark pieces of shadow on her. Where, yeah, I think maybe just having more room for her face to really, again, shine, no pun intended, and maybe darkening some of the space around her head so that the light coming from her eyes does really stand out, and some of the lighting that you've done on her face really stands out. Whether that's, like, darkening the sky, maybe adding in some more clouds and textures to make her stand out quite a bit. Because, like, her body's very dark from, like, the use of the reds, and then her face is a lot lighter. So I think, yeah, darkening maybe the area around her face, either through color or texture or shading, I think maybe would help kind of make the lighting pop more. But yeah, this is a really great piece. I'll move on. Again, if you have questions, just let me know. I'm happy to answer. Right. This is so cool. I love the tentacle. That's awesome. Okay, so this is more of a design kind of thing. You've got some very good contrast color-wise through the character. I like your use of some light kind of gradient and shading to kind of help make the different pieces of the character stand out. Where you've got, like, the lighter skin, you've got, like, these kind of purpley blues that could also pass as, like, black, for, like, the hair and the cloak and the dress. I like the little pops of red from, like, the hat and the earrings and the lasso, and then same on, like, the boots and belts and gauntlets and stuff. It stands out really well against, like, the blue on the character, and then the third color going on is this green, because she's got a bit of a green undertone to her skin, and then you've got the tentacle coming out of her arm. That is so cool. Yeah, and there's a bit of gold kind of mixed in with the red as well for the eyes. Yeah, the color palette works really well. I think there's a bit of a contrast issue around the face, and I think part of it is the background color that's going on here, where it's like you used a very neutral, darker mid-tone color. And a mid-tone is fine for, like, a flat background like this where you're focusing on the character's design. I think it's a little too dark, though, and it's just very similar in value to, like, the hair and the hat and the cloak. So it's really making the face kind of disappear. Maybe not the face specifically, because she's got very, like, bright eyes and light skin, which is standing out against it. But I think, yeah, the shadow on the hat and her hair is really disappearing because of the background color. So that's just something to keep in mind. But I like the use of, like, the little highlight on the bottom of the dress, where it helps it stand out against, like, the cloak, kind of thing. And using kind of the brighter colors to really stand out and layer really, really works. So it's just I think it's just the background color against the face. There's an issue there. The other thing character-wise is I feel like her feet don't fit the rest of her body. Because she has this very willowy design where there's these, like she's a very like narrow rectangular character, if that makes sense. Like she's a lot of these straight lines, but they also have like a little bit of a curve to them. Like you can see it on her arm, where like the wrist gets very slender, and same with like the elbow. We've got her waist. Her face has like, yeah, you could call it rectangular, but it's got like the cutaway and then the wide cheekbone and the narrow chin. And then her feet, like her knees down, just feel really thick compared to the rest of the character. And I can kind of see what you're doing, where you've got like some of these like triangle pieces throughout. That works for like the shape of the boots. And she does have this like rectangle shape to like the cloak and like the cowl and stuff. But I think you could still make the feet kind of flare out, but I think they need to be maybe like a bit more triangular and less like rectangle, if that makes sense, just to kind of fit these kind of like flaring shapes that she has. But yeah, the shape just doesn't quite fit. And I feel like it either needs to be like I hate saying slim down. It just feels weird. But yeah, but I think that just the shape needs to kind of match that willowiness. Or it needs to be like pushed more, so it's a bit more exaggerated to maybe fit kind of like the broad shoulder kind of idea, if that makes sense. But I love the idea. I love this cowboy kind of character with like the lasso, and then maybe has like these tentacles as another lasso. That's really cool. I also get like vampire vibes, but maybe that's just me. They could also just be an elf. That's just me putting pointy ears on every vampire that I see. But anyways, really cool. Great colors. I think just some little tweaks would be needed. Design wise. And then finally, we got this one. The color stuff is really the lighting stuff here is really cool. I love the kind of blown out, really white lighting, and then our character is this dark point that really stands out. Like, color wise, that's really, really cool. I love the contrast of it. And I like the way the column that he's leaned up against kind of fades away, where we still understand like the shape of it and the volume. We can tell that he's like leaned against it. We see like the shadow of it and him. But it's subtle enough that the focus is on our character. I think that's a really nice touch, how it kind of fades away and the focus goes to him. Just check in your notes to make sure I'm covering everything. Coloring, design, painting, technique, and composition. And then the lighting. So the lighting really works. We've got like a very strong light coming in from the left. And you can see it's like really, really bright, hitting like the sides of his face, the edge of the horn, the back of the head, down the neck and the shoulder. You can see it peeking through and touching like the other side of the body, highlighting like even though this would be in shadow, like his legs crossed in front of him and his hand, we still get little bits of highlight. I think that's great. The light, I like the use of the light to show the shape of the thigh here. Yeah, and then the really dark shadows on like the side of his face and then down his front that would be hidden by his body. The shadow on the hand is really nice too. or where his thumb and palm kind of cross over, you get the shadow. Color-wise, I think it works really well. Obviously, you've got like the red and yellow as big standout colors. I like how you've brought some like yellowy undertones to the white of the column and then even into like the shadow. I think some of the shadows here feel like a little too gray. I think I feel that way a little bit about the first one you submitted. I find this is like very vibrant. But I think you need to add some... You've got very vibrant highlights, which is great. But I think your shadows need a bit more saturation to them. So for example, where places on this painting where they feel really like the shapes have a lot of volume to them is here. Like you've got some very saturated purples on the shadow of like her arm here. Whereas like the highlights get a little more desaturated, a little more pale, because that does tend to be how light works, and I think that's how you create a lot of depth with shading, is like light and highlights. They can be vibrant, like don't let this advice stop you from playing around with things, but the light tends to be more desaturated, very light obviously in color, in value, whereas shadows, they tend to get very saturated. And I think it's an easy pitfall to make shadows to, like, they always, like my art teacher would always say, like making them black. Like a shadow shouldn't actually be black. You know, you can use really dark colors, like you can use really dark reds, dark purples, etc. But the more saturated they are, the more depths there will be. So maybe some places where like the depth is missing, I think is where you go very desaturated with your colors. Like in here, it's a very gray purple, where you could make it more saturated, and I think it would create more depth. And I think that's happening here, where I understand like where the light is hitting, you want it to be saturated. And I think you've done a good job, honestly. Where like, where the light is hitting, it gets very bright. And we get these golden colors. We get this very like, saturated red. And like the gold shines through on like the eyes and the jewelry. But I think for the shadow, instead of bringing in, I think you've brought in some like kind of browns and grays. For the yellows, you've brought in some very like, I like it here where you're fading into like more of a russety orange. But I find it gets just very grayed out down here, where I think if you brought in... Yellow can be hard. Yellow can desaturate really, really quickly. So I recommend bringing in like greens and reds and purples in. Can really help keep saturation while making it still feel yellowy and gold. Gold, for example, has a lot of like green undertones. It can have a lot of orange shadows and stuff. Where yeah, I think it gets a bit too gray and muddy in here. And then same with the face, where I think if you brought in maybe some like maybe some like some more purples into these really dark shades. Maybe some like orangey or red colors. It's hard to say. I'd have to like play around with it myself to give you specific colors, but yeah, I think it just gets a bit too grayed out and it makes things feel kind of flat, where I think you could really add more depth and volume to like the shadows by bringing more saturated colors in. Because wherever you have highlights, the shapes really work. Because like you get this like subtle curve of the cheek, you get like the really cut jaw and cheekbone, the shape of the eyes. down in here, like wherever there's highlight hitting, you get a really good idea of the shape, but wherever there's shadow, it gets very muddled and kind of blends together. And obviously, if that's what you're intending, ignore me because you're doing what you're doing. You're achieving what you set out to achieve. But I think if you bring in some saturated colors, it would really help make these stand out but still be in shadow, if that makes sense. You can still parse what's happening. It won't feel as flat because you really feel it here where it's very gray around the hand and the feet, like that's really in shadow, and it feels blended together. It's kind of blooming, if that makes sense, whereas like you've got these really stark cut shapes where the light is hitting. Yeah, so hopefully my rant has been helpful. I feel like I'm just going in circles now, but yeah. Yeah, saturated shadows. The other great advice I've heard for lighting is that whatever color the light is, its opposite will be in the shadow. So if you have yellow light hitting something, the opposite would be a purple shadow. You know, if you have green lighting, your shadows will be red, kind of thing. Just the opposite on the color wheel is what you can really bring in to make the shadow and lighting work. Yeah, warm light, cool shadows, cool light, warm shadows, kind of thing. Yeah. And as for like the texture and stuff, yeah, it very much feels like chalk or graphite or pastel. If you're trying to get away from that and make it feel more digital, yeah, I guess the only thing you really could do possibly, so like where I think it really, again, you'd have to experiment and see what you like here, but I think it works really well when it's more subtle, where you've got like a bit of texture on the cheek, where it feels kind of like the texture of the skin coming through. Whereas like where you've got these cut highlights and you've got this very textured pencil kind of brush, maybe if you use something a little bit harder, a little less textured, like the Studio Pen, or I'm trying to think of like iPad Procreate pencils, but just something a bit smoother, less textured, and maybe using that for some of your larger shapes and then getting very textured on like the little details. That might help make it feel a bit more like digital art. But yeah, just something to play around with and see what you like. Tori, when you see this, please let me know your thoughts. I'm happy to answer questions. But that's all I got. That's all she wrote. Thank you all for joining. If you would like to have your stuff critiqued next month, you can sign up for our Patreon. There should be a link down below. We look at prose, we look at comic scripts, comic pages, thumbnails, character designs, setting designs, most stuff. We've got all the rules when you sign up. But yeah, thank you all for joining. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you later. Goodbye. I have to find the end stream button now. Bye. Mwah.